Today we're going to revisit the aviation industry. But before we go any further, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. This is the pilot you think you're getting.
His exploits are legendary. He's considered to be one of the finest pilots this program has ever produced. I give you Captain Pete Mitchell. Call sign, Maverick.
But this may be the pilot you actually get.
You're an amazing man. How did you manage to survive all these years?
Physical fitness, iron will, perseverance, and 64 bottles of scotch.
Let's go ahead and watch this short clip and see what's going on.
To the other news tonight, and we are learning this evening that the Southwest Airlines pilot who allegedly failed a sobriety test was actually pulled from the cockpit by police just before a flight to Chicago. Tonight, witnesses describing what they saw. And here's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, new details about the Southwest Airlines pilot pulled from the cockpit by police, allegedly failing a sobriety test on the jet bridge moments before he was set to take off. Pilot David Alsop was taken into custody early yesterday morning at Savannah Hilton Head Airport. The TSA says an officer contacted law enforcement reporting an individual in the crew screening lane who smelled of alcohol and appeared intoxicated. The flight was scheduled for a 6:05 a.m. takeoff to Chicago. Passengers had boarded when the arrest occurred.
One of the cops came back again, and he actually took that pilot with him off of the plane.
According to the police report, Alsop was seated in the cockpit performing pre-flight checks. The arresting officer saying he detected a strong odor of what seemed to be alcohol, adding Alsop claimed he last drank last night and had a few light beers. They conducted a sobriety test there on the jet bridge, and officers saying Alsop failed and refused a state-mandated blood test. According to authorities, the manager of the Southwest Airlines drug and alcohol team asked police to release Mr. Alsop to Southwest so they could carry out their own investigation, but police informed them he'd be taken to jail.
And David, federal regulations ban pilots from consuming alcohol within 8 hours of a flight takeoff. Southwest Airlines tells ABC this pilot has been removed from duty.
So this incident occurred on January 15th, 2025. It is Southwest Flight 3772 from Savannah to Midway. Now the pilot was seated in the cockpit performing pre-flight checks. So what does that mean? That means he had every intention of flying this plane. Next, we see that when the officer questioned him, he said he detected a strong odor of what seemed to be alcohol. And he inquired about his last drink. And the pilot said, "Last night?" "Well, of course last night." "Or did you have one this morning? When did you have your last drink?" And his response was, I had a few light beers. Light beers? What's the difference between light beers, heavy beers? I mean, I don't understand the difference. He proceeded to give him a field sobriety test. He couldn't do it in the plane, so he took him off on the jet bridge because it was cold outside, I guess. But he proceeded to fail almost everything. He was asked if he wanted to consent to a blood test, and of course, Mr. Alsop declined to submit to a state-mandated blood test. What does that mean? We'll get to that in a minute. Now, this page here, there's a couple of things. One thing is we're going to look at what he was arrested for. And at the bottom, you can see it was DUI less safe, and that's OCGA code subsection 46391. So we look at 46391. It's drivers with the ability impaired by alcohol, drugs, or toxic vapor. A person shall not drive or be in actual physical control of any moving vehicle while 1. Under the influence of alcohol to the extent that is less safe for the person to drive. So that's what he was arrested for. Now, one of the things I find disturbing about this report is somebody from Southwest Airlines has requested the possibility of releasing Mr. Alsop to Southwest Airlines for them to conduct their own tests and investigation. You got to have some balls to ask for them to release somebody that's been arrested so that you can do your investigation. How about you just take the information we get and the evidence we collect, and you can use that. That way you can't do any cover-up of it, and you can get it out of the news faster or whatever. Once the police are called, the police are involved. If he wanted to self-disclose, or if the other pilot, which is also disturbing, didn't say anything or had said something, which he didn't, But if he had said something, then perhaps it could have been handled internally. But once the police are involved, the police are involved. No, you're not going to get custody of him, and we're going to conduct our own investigation. Sorry. So what FAA regulation did he break? 91.17, alcohol or drugs. No person may act or attempt to act as a crew member of civil aircraft. 1, within 8 hours after the consumption of any alcoholic beverage. That means you're not even supposed to drink within 8 hours. Doesn't matter if you're drunk or not. You're not supposed to have a drink. And 2, while under the influence of alcohol. So now we get to his refusal to submit to a blood test. And that's also covered by the FAA regulations. It's 61.16, refusal to submit to an alcohol test or to furnish test results. A refusal to submit to a test to indicate the percentage by weight of alcohol in the blood. That's not a breath test, this is a blood test. When recognized by a law enforcement officer in accordance with 91.17C of this chapter, or refusal to furnish or authorize the release of the test results requested by the administrator in accordance with 91.17C or D of this chapter, is grounds for A, denial of an application for any certificate, rating, or authorization issued under this part for a period of up to 1 year after the date of the refusal, or B, suspension or revocation of any certificate, rating, or authorization issued under this part. Now let's look at 91.17C, which is the applicable section for this. So a crew member shall do the following. 1, on request of law enforcement officers, submit to a test to indicate alcohol concentration in the blood or breath when, subset 1, the law enforcement officer is authorized under state or local law to conduct the test or to have the test conducted, and 2, the law enforcement officer has requested submission to the test to investigate a suspected violation of state or local law governing the same substantially similar conduct prohibited by paragraph A1, A2, or A4 of this section. Section 2 of this Section C is, whenever the FAA has reasonable basis to believe that a person may have violated paragraph A1, A2, or A4 of this section on request of the FAA, that person must submit to the FAA the results or authorize any clinic, hospital, or doctor or other person to release to the FAA the results of each test taken within 4 hours after acting or attempting to act as a crew member that indicates an alcohol concentration in the blood or blood breath specimen. So what does that mean? It means we don't have to release the person to you, Southwest. Law enforcement is perfectly capable of conducting the investigation themselves. You, Southwest, have the responsibility to contact the FAA and let them know of this violation. Then they can go ahead and proceed with the other steps that they need to take. So let's recap. A drunk pilot gets on board a plane with the intention to fly it. This is not only a violation of state, but federal law, risking the lives of everyone on board and everyone on the ground. Imagine your family sitting down to eat dinner, not knowing it's their last meal. Your house now is a crater because this pilot decided to fly drunk. And the disturbing part of this whole thing is that we only know this because someone in line at the TSA notified TSA, who then called the police, who showed up at the gate and arrested the pilot. Apparently, the second pilot in the cockpit was fine with it. I get it. I know why we fly. Flying is supposed to be the safest form of travel. But I could point to 171 families that are questioning that safety right now, and they will be questioning it for the next 10 years. We fly because we want to get there faster. It's a time saver. We don't all have that much time, and we want to get there. But you have to know the risks when you get on a plane. You have to understand how many people you are trusting with your life or the life of your loved ones. We want to get there safely. We don't want to end up like this. Thanks for watching. Peace out.